Posted by u/4dagatimes. I, 30F, have an identical twin sister. We'll call her Stacy for the sake of the story. Our mother unfortunately passed during childbirth, and we were raised by our father. Stacy has been married to Jeff for 8 years, and I have been in a relationship with Mike for 3 years now. One thing I've always known about my sister is that she wanted to be a mom. Even when we were children, she was always thinking about wedding ideas, nursery themes, baby names, etc. I was always more focused on books and having fun. I am now a flight attendant, and I am also attempting to become a published author. Stacy has never worked a day in her life, honestly. When we graduated high school, we went straight to college. She met Jeff in college, and once she graduated, she became a stay-at-home girlfriend until she became his wife. I have known for a while that she has been attempting to become pregnant, unsuccessfully. She experienced a miscarriage and has been unable to become pregnant again despite spending thousands and thousands of dollars on IVF and pretty much anything else they could do because she wanted to experience pregnancy. After 5 years of no success, they have started discussing other options. Stacy isn't interested in adoption and is very adamant about having a child that has both of their DNA, her words, not mine. About 3 weeks ago, she came to my house, and we were hanging out as we usually do, just chatting and watching Modern Family. She told me she had a serious question and needed to ask me while she still had the nerve. It scared me, but she asked if I could be her surrogate. I was frozen for a second and asked what she meant. She told me that I knew what a surrogate was. She needed me to be her surrogate. I expressed that she knew I wasn't interested in having children. This could definitely be due to how we came into the world, but I'll be honest and say I have never found the thought of having children appealing in any way. I told her that I would have zero issue with donating my eggs to her, however many she needed. She could have them all, but I could not carry her child. Upon hearing that, she became so angry. Her face was red, and she was yelling about how it's obvious I'm jealous and hateful because this is a small task. I didn't want to point out that she has always talked about having more than 4 kids. Would the expectation be for me to do this every time? I don't know, I'm starting to feel so bad. She ended up telling me that if I couldn't do this one thing for her, how could I ever call myself her sister? She broke a picture of us that I had sitting on my mantle and stormed out. Since then, she's only texted me pictures of her diaries from when we were kids, along with all of her vision boards, saying that I'm stopping her from creating a family for no reason, and that I should think about the bigger picture. Mike refuses to give me advice, saying it's my sister and he doesn't feel comfortable trying to sway me in either direction because it's such a touchy subject. Honestly, this is the longest I've ever gone without communicating with my sister, and I am seriously on the verge of giving in. Am I wrong for not wanting to be a surrogate for my sister? Edit. I am reading all the comments, and I want to say thank you so much. I feel so much better knowing I'm not the villain, but I would be lying if I said I'm not leaning towards just doing it. This disconnect with my sister brings me immense discomfort in ways I cannot verbally express. However, I see 2 frequent questions I want to answer in hopes of getting different responses. Money. My mother did not die of natural causes, it was due to provider error. My father sued the hospital, and Stacy and I have sizable trusts from that settlement. So, money is not an issue for either of us, and Jeff is financially well off as well. Not working for 9 months or paying for the egg retrieval process, etc., isn't a concern at all. It's more about her stubbornness in wanting the baby to share our DNA and for one of us to carry it. Since we're identical, if she can't have a baby, how can I? Her inability to have a child is due to a car accident we were in, which also caused the miscarriage she experienced. Unfortunately, because she was in the front seat with our father, they took the brunt of the crash. As a result, her body is now unable to carry a child, and she has had extreme complications with egg retrieval. I'm not sure about the details of how that has gone wrong, just that it isn't working and isn't an option. It's hard to get her to discuss non-viable options so I can gain a better understanding. Doctors will not allow you to be a surrogate due to you not having had a child. Thank you so much for this information. We have a family dinner this upcoming Thursday because we always watch football with our dad and significant others. I'm sure this topic will come up if she decides to attend. I'm hoping I can bring this up to her. Update 2 days later. So, I promised an update for tomorrow, but my dad actually ended up calling me while I was out and told me to come over for dinner last night so we could talk. I want to start by saying thank you so much for all the comments and advice. Some of you were harsh, not only to me but also to my sister and boyfriend. Regardless, I still appreciate the help. I didn't even ask what it was about when my dad called. I figured he had spoken to Stacy. Based on the comments, I know some of you won't be happy, but I talked with Mike about where his head was if I were to move forward with this. He told me that he loved me and would support me through anything, but he wouldn't continue to sit by while my sister made me feel like trash. He also said that if I was doing this under coercion, he wouldn't be able to support me, which I honestly completely understand. When we went over to my dad's for dinner, Stacy and Jeff were already there. I spoke to both of them when we walked in, But only my sister replied. My brother-in-law gave me the most disgusting look and greeted my boyfriend only. My dad sat us down at the table, and there was just this awkward silence, the tension thick enough to cut with a butcher knife. He said, "Somebody talk, we need to get this resolved before the game tomorrow night." My dad loves football, lol. I started the conversation by telling my sister that I had done some research and, on top of my initial concerns, I now had a few more and needed to know exactly what she needed from me. I first asked her what being a surrogate would look like. She just responded, "Are you agreeing to it?" When I told her no, that I just needed more details, she broke down crying. I then asked her if she knew that a doctor would deny me from being a surrogate since I've never successfully carried a child to term. She said she knew that and would just send my brother-in-law and me to a center of excellence, where we could pretend to be a couple. Once I was successfully inseminated, I could request a transfer to her option for the continuation of care. My father intervened and said that asking me to do something a doctor wouldn't sign off on was a terrible way to attempt to begin motherhood. You could tell he wasn't on board with any of it but didn't want to pick a side. He asked her why she was so uncomfortable with the idea of using a surrogate, and that's when Jeff interjected, saying, "Don't try to berate my wife with these stupid questions, talk to your selfish bitch of a daughter about why she can't help her sister." That immediately shifted the mood. Mike started yelling at him for calling me a bitch, and my dad told him he couldn't disrespect his daughters in his home. Everything just went up in flames. My sister was crying, asking me to do her this favor, practically begging. I told her that if I could trade places with her, I would, but I was scared and just didn't want to die. I think that was the first time I had ever said that out loud. We couldn't resolve much more after that. My dad asked Jeff to leave because he couldn't control himself and refused to apologize. As he was walking out, Stacy told him she would meet him in the car and then asked me to come talk to her on the porch, just the two of us. I went out with her, and she apologized for Jeff calling me a bitch, saying they were just on edge and that it's been stressful. I told her that she shouldn't apologize for him and that we'd figure something out. She asked me to reconsider and kept saying, "You don't get it, you don't understand." When I pressed her for more, she admitted that her in-laws had made a cruel joke at a recent dinner, calling her a murderer, referring to the child she lost. She said she asked Jeff why he didn't stand up for her when they made the joke, and he told her it was because it was true. He had also made some unsettling comments about how she wouldn't be able to make up for it and how excited he was to see what their child would look like. He said he would never be able to look at a child and see pieces of both of them. That's when she got the idea of me carrying the child, and he was immediately on board. But the way she explained it made it seem like he planted the seed, and now she believes it was her idea. She said she hadn't seen him that excited since the baby, and she just needed my help to get everything back to normal. I tried to explain to her that nothing would ever be normal again and that what she was trying to do was the wrong thing. But then he started blaring the horn, rushing her to the car, and she said she'd call me later. I feel like I may lose my sister, but now I'm not even willing to donate my eggs for her to have a baby with him. I took your advice and looked up the egg donation process, and wow, it's not at all what I expected. I want her to divorce him. I'm never going to help her procreate with that man. Honestly, I think I'd rather be a surrogate for her to be a single mom before I'd ever allow her to place his child in me or use my eggs to create a child with him. I had no idea his family was pushing so much guilt onto her. I've been jumping at my phone every time it rings because I know she'll call soon, and I'll have to tell her that. I'm terrified I'll lose my sister, but I can't and won't do this. I probably won't update anymore, but thanks for all the help.